The hardest order in a gunfight was the one that took the clean ending away. Corin Keswick had even Sarn in sight, while Northyard was already giving ground. Sarn had to be stopped before he reached the signal house. He also had to stay alive. Corin passed on the finish, stopped a different threat, and paid for it in lost space. Sarn kept moving behind ordinary close protection. The yard shook under another impact. Corin felt it through his boots before the sound rolled off the concrete walls. A defender near the loading shed ducked back, and the militia line gained another few yards. "North side is folding," Dessa said. "I have it." "Then stop watching him. Give me the center." Center has two moving past the barrier. Friendly position. Pinned behind the utility cart. Corin kept Sarn at the edge of his attention and shifted to the immediate threat. A militia fighter had worked far enough forward to hold two defenders behind the damaged cart. The man was not Sarn, and that made the decision simple in a way Sarn never would be. "Left of the cart," Corin said. "Hold." "Holding." "Second man. Stay down." "Down." Corin waited until the advancing fighter became the larger danger, then acted. "Is less than #0. 4# is greater than pressure." The pressure on the cart broke. "Move now." "We're moving." "Both of you, keep going." "Clear." "Dessa." "I have them." The two defenders crossed a harder cover, while Dessa pulled another pair away from the center. Corin's choice had worked exactly as intended. It also gave Sarn more room. "Barrick's court is next," Dessa said. "Signal house commands the inner harbor approaches. He doesn't get that building." "Not yet. It will be if we keep buying him ground." "Can you hold the court approach?" "Until they push again." "Then hold it. I'll keep Sarn in front of us." Sarn remained with 4 men close around him. Nothing about it was unusual. They moved when he moved, checked the open yard before he crossed, and tightened whenever the pressure rose. Any commander under direct attack would have wanted the same thing. A defender farther right shouted, "We can cut him off." "No. He's crossing now. No lethal shot on Sarn. Kill him here." And his coalition splinters into raiding crews across the corridor. "Then what am I stopping?" "The men giving him the crossing. Stay on them." "Copy." Corin moved along the broken edge of the yard. The nearest cover was already crowded. "Is less than #0. 4# is greater than his team. Had entered a fight with no clean front, only people holding pieces of ground that kept getting smaller. Dessa came beside him for 2 steps, then glanced toward Sarn. "His people are closing the space around him." "Normal." "So far." That was all she gave him. Sarn's protection looked disciplined, not strange. The important fact was simpler. The militia commander was still moving towards Signal House, and every correct decision Corin made against someone else left Sarn alive to keep doing it. "Center lane lost," a defender called. "How far?" "Past the barrier." "Give up the barrier. Keep the court approach." "We lose the yard." "You lose it faster if you stay there." "Moving back." "Dessa, cover their move." "Already on it." The defenders withdrew. One of them dragged a limping partner behind the next piece of cover, while militia fighters occupied the abandoned concrete almost immediately. Corin caught Sarn again between moving bodies. For a fraction of a second, the commander was clear enough that instinct offered the fast answer. Corin rejected it before thought could become action. Dessa saw his focus settle. "You had him." "I still do is less than #0. 3# is greater than." "That isn't the same thing." "No." "Then tell me what you need." "Time without giving him the court." "You can have one of those." "I know." The pressure shifted left. One of Sarn's guards pulled him behind damaged freight panels while another directed militia fighters forward. Ordinary protection. Ordinary movement. Nothing Corin could call meaningful, beyond the fact that it made Sarn harder to reach. Sarn pointed past Barrick's court, and called, "Signal house, keep moving." The nearest militia fighters answered by driving forward, not by turning toward Corin, is less than #0. 4# is greater than. A partner force operator near the center raised his weapon as Sarn reappeared. Corin saw the angle, saw the target, and saw the operator commit. Alive. The operator checked himself and swung toward the guard beside Sarn instead. Sarn turned at the sound. Corin could not know what the man understood, only that he had looked toward the voice, and the consequence that followed it. "Pressure right," Dessa shouted. "Right side still open. Then close it before he reaches the court. Take it. 2 moving. Keep them off the court. I need 1 more body. You don't have 1 is less than #0. 3# is greater than. Then keep Sarn where I can see him. I'm trying." Dessa moved with the defenders while Corin watched Sarn's immediate protection compress around him. 1 guard stepped closer. Another crossed behind. The commander disappeared from Corin's clean view without panic or any visible change of purpose. It still looked ordinary. The north yard was smaller now. The center barrier and half the open concrete were gone. Sarn was alive, moving, and harder to separate than before. Dessa glanced back. "He heard you." "Yes. What now is less than #0. 3# is greater than." Corin watched Sarn advance with his men toward the pressure building beyond the yard. Now we see what changes. Sarn did not hurry after the word. That was the first thing Corin noticed. The militia kept pressing out of North Yard, but Sarn's pace stayed controlled, as his protection carried him toward the broken edge of Barrick's court. The defenders had lost enough ground that Corin could now see the signal house beyond them in brief. Ugly pieces, doorway, wall, roofline, then bodies moving across the view. "Court approach is thinning," Dessa said. "How many friendlies still holding? Enough to slow them, not enough to lose another strip of yard." "Signal house. Holding. For now." Corin moved to regain distance on Sarn without giving up the court completely. Distance still offered the cleanest way to sort people from problems. Close pressure mixed everybody together. From farther back, he could see choices before they became collisions. "Keep Sarn moving left of the court," he said. A defender answered, "He has cover ahead." "What kind?" "Concrete wall, cleaner than where he is now." Dessa looked across the yard. "He can reach it." Corin saw the same opening. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than. The wall would take Sarn out of the exposed movement lane and reduce the number of armed men who could stay shoulder close around him. It was the obvious protection. Sarn did not take it. He stayed with the moving cluster instead, using their pace and mass as the militia pressed forward. "Did you see that?" Dessa asked. "Yes. He passed better cover. Once. Still passed it. Once is behavior. It isn't motive." Dessa gave him a quick look. "I didn't say motive." "Good." The wind came across the yard and threw grit into the open space that is less than #0. 4# is greater than. For a few seconds, every moving outline lost definition. Corin waited rather than pretend certainty. When the air cleared, Sarn was still with the same armed group and Barrick's court was closer. A defender called, "We can split the lead men from him if we push." "Do it without collapsing the court," Corin said. "That gives us 1 angle. 1 is enough if it changes the group." Dessa said, "I'll watch the spacing." Corin acted on the opening. Pressure shifted against the militia fighters ahead of Sarn, forcing the front of the group to react without directly threatening Sarn himself. Is less than #0. 5# is greater than. For several seconds, the formation stretched. Corin expected Sarn to take the cleaner wall once the men around him were pulled apart. Instead, Sarn slowed. "Front elements separating," the defender said. "Keep them separated." Sarn stopped, I see him. Why stop there? Corin watched the physical facts. The lead men were pulled several strides ahead, leaving open concrete between them and Sarn. Hard cover sat within reach, yet Sarn held where two armed men could work back toward him. Then the two armed men gave up their forward gain and closed the open concrete back toward Sarn. Sarn moved again. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than Dessa said. That's different. Different from what? Cover behavior. Explain. If he only wanted protection, the wall was better. He may want command continuity, or people he trusts close. Both are still ordinary. Ordinary can still matter. Corin let that sit while the assault kept moving. The mistake would be turning one choice into an answer, because the answer felt useful. Sarn had heard the restriction laid in North Yard. Now he had chosen people over cleaner cover once. That did not tell Corin why. It did tell him the choice was worth testing through action. It is less than #0. 4# is greater than. Can we open space around him again? Corin asked. Not without giving up more of the court, Dessa said. How much? Enough that I wouldn't trade it for a theory. Then we don't. A defender cut in. Militia at the barracks court edge. Hold the edge. We're already giving ground. Then stop giving it there. We need help. Dessa said, I'm moving 2 defenders back to you. Corin looked at her. That weakens our center. Our center is already weak. And Sarn. Still outside the court, barely. The standoff attempt had given Corin information, but not control. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than. The men around Sarn had stretched, then compressed again. Sarn had remained alive and uncaptured. Worse, the time Corin spent trying to create a clean separation had let the assault reach the next physical line. The signal house no longer felt distant. Court edge is taking pressure, Dessa said. I know. You still want distance. For the moment. That answer is getting expensive. Corin looked toward Sarn. 4 guards remained close. The reserve had not appeared. Nothing had changed enough to justify certainty. Your command link idea, Corin said. Still fits is less than #0. 3# is greater than fits some of it. Some. He could be keeping the people he needs to move the assault together, or he could just trust armed company more than concrete. That's not an answer. No, it's what we have. Another burst of pressure hit the court edge. A defender shouted that they were being pushed back. Corin moved before the call finished. Hold barracks court. We're done testing from here. Dessa followed. And Sarn. Still alive, still moving. Toward signal house. Yes. Corin left the last useful North Yard cover and followed Dessa toward barracks court. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than ahead. Sarn's group was already pressing the defenders who had been forced back there. Corin still had no answer worth trusting, and there was no distance left to buy one cheaply. The remaining North Yard fell behind Corin in broken pieces as he and Dessa crossed toward barracks court. The pressure ahead had changed shape. From distance, Corin had been able to sort movement and wait for cleaner separation. Here, bodies crossed too quickly, and cover broke lines of sight before decisions finished forming. Court edge is bending, Dessa said. It's bending. You still have Sarn. Center left. 4 close is less than #0. 3# is greater than, then we're out of room. A defender backed through the court entrance with another man beside him. They're pushing the west side. Hold the doorway, Corin said. We can't hold both. Then hold the side that keeps signal house open. The defender moved. Corin went with him. Sarn was still inside the moving militia pressure, close protection tight enough to make any clean separation brief. The open distance Corin preferred had disappeared. Barracks court forced everybody into shorter decisions. One of Sarn's guards stepped forward, as the militia line pressed the court, is less than #0. 4# is greater than. Corin saw the guard's attention shift toward a defender crossing left. Dessa. Second angle. Have it. The guard committed toward Corin's side, while another militia fighter tried to come around the opposite edge. Dessa cut that second pressure off before it reached the defender. Left clear, she said. Keep it clear. You have 5 seconds. That's enough. Corin moved into the gap. The close guard turned back too late to keep the same position beside Sarn. Corin did not chase a technique or a perfect finish. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than. He used the brief imbalance, forced the guard away from the commander's immediate space, and drove the fight toward the hard edge of the court. The guard recovered fast, planting against the hard court edge and choosing the route back to Sarn instead of turning the contact into a duel. Corin felt the man's weight hit through his shoulder and boots. His heel slid on grit over concrete. For one instant, the whole exchange threatened to collapse into bodies and noise. Corin. I'm up. Second man moving. Stop him. Dessa did. The guard tried to return toward Sarn. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than. Corin denied the path long enough for 2 defenders to push pressure between them. The guard was forced away from the close group and stayed out of immediate protection. As the rest of the militia shifted around him, Guard off, Sarn, Dessa said. He's separated. Sarn stopped. The assault did not stop. Fighters continued pressing Barrick's court. Sarn did. Why is he holding? A defender asked. Watch your front, Corin said. The answer came physically. A man who had been trailing Sarn's immediate element moved forward through the militia pressure. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than. Corin had seen him earlier, never close enough to count as part of the 4-man protection. Now he closed the gap and took the missing place beside Sarn. Dessa saw it at the same time. Sergili. That's the reserve. Yes. No one else behind him. Then that was the one. Sarn moved again as soon as the replacement reached him. The trailing man settled into the missing place beside Sarn, closing the protection back to 4. Corin looked past them for another reserve and found only militia pressing Barrick's court. Sarn had waited for that one replacement, then moved. Court West is failing, the defender shouted. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than. Corin looked away from Sarn because the ground mattered more than the question. Dessa, take the 2 nearest. With me. Keep them from folding toward Signal House. What about Sarn? He's moving whether we watch him or not. They shifted to the west edge. The close contact had bought nothing clean. It had cost time, pulled Corin out of his preferred distance, and forced defenders to give up another usable strip of Barrick's court just to keep the militia from rolling the position. A defender at the west edge called, They're trying to push through the court. Can you hold? Not alone. Dessa is less than #0. 3# is greater than. I can give him one. One only. Keep the other with the Signal House side. That leaves you thin. I'm already thin. You're close to Sarn. That's why I'm here. The defender said, I need the move now. Take the man Dessa sends. Fall back only if the court edge breaks. And if Sarn follows, do not chase him. Hold the ground. Got it. Dessa glanced at Corin. You're choosing the court over the target. I'm choosing the target's destination. For once, that's the same problem. Keep it that way. A man near the court wall stumbled backward under pressure. Is less than #0. 4# is greater than. Move him, Dessa said. He can move. Then move now. The defender regained his feet and fell back with the others. Signal House remained behind them, still friendly, but the distance to it had shortened again. Corin caught sight of Sarn through the moving line. 4 men stayed close. No reserve remained behind them. Dessa came back beside Corin, breathing hard but steady. That pause, she said. I saw it. He didn't move until that replacement got there. True. If one of them is carrying the immediate command work, he may need that link beside him. May is less than #0. 3# is greater than, you want more than that. I want enough to act without inventing motive. Dessa nodded once. Then call it protection or command continuity. Something close matters. Something close may matter. Better. Accurate. Another surge hit the court. The defenders gave 2 steps before holding. At the court edge, the former reserve stayed shoulder close to Sarn. Behind the 4-man protection, no 5th guard moved forward. Another militia surge forced the defenders back 2 steps toward Signal House before they stopped it. Barrick's court did not give Corin time to decide what Sarn's pause meant. The militia reached the Signal House apron before he could create another clean look at the commander. The building's doorway stayed in friendly hands, but the concrete outside it had become contested ground, crowded with defenders falling back and militia fighters trying to make the last distance disappear. 5, apron pressure. Dessa said, on it, 2 groups coming through the court. Forget Sarn for 10 seconds. Keep the doorway ours. Dessa looked once toward the commander, then moved. 4. You heard him. Inside line stays friendly. Nobody follows them out. A defender near the Signal House entrance answered. They're already on the apron. Then stop them there. Corin shifted toward the physical threat, instead of the question he wanted answered. The narrow theory from the last contact could wait. If Signal House fell while Hess studied Sarn, the distinction would be useless. Militia pressure struck the apron in 2 uneven waves. One pushed directly toward the doorway. The other drove along the outer wall, trying to force defenders away from the entrance. Right, wall moving, a defender said. Dessa. Take it. E3, I need one with me. Take one. Stay off the doorway. Copy. Corin stayed with the center. Sarn remained behind the forward pressure, with 4 close guards around him. The former reserve was still there, now fully part of that group. 4. Whatever immediate command link Dessa had suspected in Barrick's court had been restored. A close guard moved ahead of Sarn as the apron compressed. 4. The man joined the forward pressure long enough to open space for the commander's movement, then got caught on the wrong side of a defender counterpush. 5. Corin acted because the guard had become part of the threat to the doorway, not because of the pattern around Sarn. Center now, Corin said. Crossing now. Keep Sarn alive. 3. Taking 1. Take Theman in front of him out of the push. The defenders drove the guard away from Sarn's immediate position. He stayed in the fight, but no longer close enough to protect the commander. Meanie 4, 3 close. Dessa called from the wall. I count 3. Nobody behind them. We knew that. I like hearing it. Twice. Meanies. Watch your side. Dessa ducked back as militia pressure struck the outer wall. A bent exterior panel beside, the apron slammed against its frame under each impact. 3. Turning the doorway fight into bursts of metal noise and shouted fragments. What? Corin said. Dessa pointed instead. 4. 2 militia fighters were crossing toward a defender, whose attention had gone to the doorway. Left of the entrance. I have one, the defender called. You have 2. 3. Dessa moved across the exposed strip and forced the second pressure away, before it could fold into the doorway fight. Clear, she shouted. Get back. I'm moving. 3. She returned under pressure, closer to the wall than Corin liked. The action had exposed her for nothing more glamorous than keeping one defender from being overwhelmed. Interior stillers, a defender called. How much apron? Half of what we had. Give up what you can't hold. Keep the entrance. That puts them almost on the door. Then make the door the line. 3. Dessa called from the wall. Sarn stopped again. Is the replacement still with him? Yes. The same man from the court? Yes, he has the link you were talking about. 4. And Sarn still stopped. Watch the attack. Dessa. Wall side. Corin found Sarn behind the forward pressure. The former reserve was still beside him, exactly where Dessa's earlier theory said the immediate command link should matter. The remaining guards had spread under pressure, and Sarn had halted anyway. 4. Sarn chopped a hand toward the entrance. Keep the doorway under pressure. The order went forward, while the man Dessa had been watching remained beside him. Push them off the entrance, he said. 4. A defender answered, we give up the rest of the apron if we do. Then give it up. That puts them at the building. They're already at the building. The defenders compressed. 4. Sarn's 3 close guards gathered nearer as the forward pressure shifted. Only then did Sarn move. Dessa saw it from the wall. My runner idea is wrong, she said. Too narrow. 3. The man I thought he needed is already there. Yes. And he still waited. No. So it isn't just that link. That's all we know. Dessa looked towards Sarn. 4. Protection, command continuity, something broader. Keep all 3 open. You don't want the answer? I want the right one. Another militia push hit the apron before she could reply. Doorway. A defender shouted. Corin moved to the entrance side. Dessa, wall. I'm on it. Don't chase. I wasn't planning to. 3. The next exchange cost them the outer apron. Corin kept the interior line intact, but the defenders had night 3 to abandon the last comfortable space in front of the building. 5. Sarn's assault now had bodies close enough to pressure the entrance directly. When the movement eased, militia boots already crowded the damaged apron. 3. And Sarn stood several strides, nearer the signal house entrance. Dessa came back from the wall, breathing through the noise. The runner theory doesn't hold. No. 3. He had the man you thought he needed and still waited. Which leaves broader protection, not an answer. The militia gathered again on the apron. 4. Sarn remained outside the building with 3 armed men close. And the doorway was now near enough for the next push to reach it in seconds. 5. Corin kept the defenders inside the damaged entrance while Sarn's 3 guards tightened around him for the next push. The militia pressure on Signal House tightened before Corin could use the small lull. 4. Sarn stood outside the defender-held interior with 3 guards close and no reserve behind them. The apron was mostly gone. What remained was a narrow strip of concrete, broken movement, and men trying to turn a doorway 3 into a front line. 5. Center is holding, Dessa said. For how long? Depends what they send next. They already sent it. Corin watched Sarn pass orders to 2 nearby militia elements. One group shifted toward the outer wall. Another pressed the doorway from the court side. 4. Sarn finished with both and turned toward the building. Orders are out, Dessa said. Yes. Then watch him. Corin did. A harder position sat several steps off Sarn's line, a thick concrete recess beside the damaged wall. It would take him farther from 2 of the 3 armed men clustered close. The alternative was worse cover and more exposure, but all 3 guards could stay with him. Sarn looked toward the recess. Then he moved away from it. He crossed the open strip instead, allowing the 3 guards to compress around him as the militia pressure shifted forward. Corin did not need another pause. The command link had already been satisfied. The safer position was real. 4. Sarn had accepted greater exposure to keep armed men close. Dessa said he chose them. Yes, said, not the wall. She looked at the spacing, not at Corin. 4. He knows what staying close does to our options. That was enough. Corin stopped waiting for Sarn to become isolated. Then we stopped trying to isolate him. Dessa turned. 4. What do you want? Make the space around him expensive, without touching Sarn. Exactly. The next militia push hit the doorway. A defender shouted, "They're on the entrance." "Hold inside," Corin said. "Give up the apron if you have to. We already gave up most of it. Then keep what matters." Dessa moved toward the wall side. "I can pull one guard wide if their front group commits. Do it. You'll lose your distance." "I already lost it." The action came quickly. The outer militia element pushed toward the wall, and one of Sarn's guards shifted to cover that movement. 5 Dessa forced pressure against the same side, not at Sarn but at the space the guard needed to return through. "Guard moving wide," she called them. "I see him. Keep Sarn off the line." 3. Corin stayed close enough to make the commander's movement matter, but did not chase the target. He used the defender's pressure to keep Sarn moving with the other 2 guards. 3. While the third struggled to close the gap. For several seconds, one guard was stranded near the wall, while the other 2 stayed shoulder close to Sarn. Sarn remained alive. The guard remained active. The guard near the wall could still fight, but he could no longer reach Sarn. See? Without crossing the exposed strip, Dessa had opened. "Partial separation," Dessa said. "Keep it partial." 3. You don't want him farther out? Not if it gives him room to choose. The defender at the doorway shouted. Pressure increasing. Corin shifted attention. 4 Interior line. 3. Holding inside. 3. Doorway pressure? Building, not inside. Keep it that way. Militia on the wall side is moving again. Same element? Same one. 3. Then don't let them turn the corner. Dessa said, "My guard is trying to come back. Don't chase him. I can keep him wide. Then do that." The guard changed direction twice, trying to rejoin Sarn without abandoning the assault pressure around him. Sarn did not break toward the man. He stayed with the 2 still close and kept moving toward Signal House. Forge. That created a new problem immediately. The protection could stretch and recover, while the assault provided more bodies, more movement, and more reasons for Corin to hesitate. 1. Dessa came back into Corin's line of sight. The 4. He can carry this forward. I know. The closer he gets to the doorway, the more armed people he has around him, even if they aren't his guards. 5. Yes. So the building helps him. The people do. The building just makes us run out of room. A defender called. We're losing the last outside position. 4. Corin looked toward Signal House. The interior still held, but the militia had premsed the fight almost onto the entrance. Fall inside if you have to. That gives Sarn the apron. 3. He already has most of it. Keep him out of the building. Dessa said, and the 3? Still 3. 1 wide, still active. Corin ignored the implied arithmetic and watched the movement instead. 1 guard was still separated from Sarn's immediate side, but nothing about the action had removed him from the fight. 5. The gain was positional, not final. The 3rd guard tried again to close. Dessa said, "Coming back." Dessa see him. "Want me closer?" "No. Keep the gap without getting trapped in it." Dessa forced him to take a longer path through the militia pressure. "That's all I can hold," she said. "It's enough." For what? To stop waiting. Corin did not need to name the pattern again. Sarn's choice at the concrete recess had settled it. Corin moved closer to the doorway and let the last comfortable standoff angle go. He watched the guard on the wall side instead of waiting for Sarn to stand alone. Sarn continued toward Signal House. All 3 guards were still active. 1 had to fight his way back across the strip Dessa controlled. Corin shifted with the defenders toward the doorway before the displaced guard could close the gap. 1. Corin entered the next push already closer, than he wanted to be. Signal House still belonged to the defenders, but the space outside it had become a moving collision of militia pressure and short withdrawals. Sarn remained alive with 3 active guards and no one left to replace the next loss. Wall side folding, a defender said. "Hold the entrance first," Corin answered. "That leaves the court side thin 3. We're thin everywhere." Dessa came in from the outer wall. "One of the 3 is staying too far out. Can you keep him there?" 3, "I can make him choose." Do it!" She did not wait for Corin to define the move. Dessa shifted with 2 defenders toward the outer pressure and forced the separated guard 3 to decide between returning to Sarn or keeping the militia push from collapsing on that side. The guard stayed in the fight. Sarn kept moving with the other 2 close. "That changed him," Dessa said. "He gave up the 3rd. Until he gets around us. Make now matter." Corin used the opening to pressure the guard's return path, while the defenders held the doorway. No one chased the man. The point was to keep him from regaining immediate proximity before the fight changed again. The militia answered with more human pressure. "Rear!" Someone shouted. 4, Corin turned. One of the 2 rear security operators had been hit hard enough to go down against the court wall. The second operator dragged him out of the immediate line, while militia movement pressed 3 into the space they had been covering. 5, status? Corin called. "Fight 4 can't keep him active. Move him inside tight, that leaves me alone on rear. You're all we have." The injured operator was withdrawn through the signal house entrance with help from the mobility operator. 4, "Can he come back?" "Not into this." "Then he stays inside." 3, "I'll keep him moving." "Do that." No one leaves the doorway to help. The injured operator disappeared through the doorway with the mobility operator. 4, his partner looked once at the uncovered side of the court, then turned back to the only direction he could still hold. Dessa looked back once. We just lost the spare. Keep your side." Corin returned to Sarn. The 3rd guard was still fighting to get back into place. Dessa's pressure had forced him wider, and the growing assault around Signal House made his return more difficult. Sarn shifted toward denser militia movement instead of away from it. Inside the moving militia mass, Sarn had to turn his shoulders to pass between his own fighters, and repeatedly lost sight of Barrick's court. The trade bought him armed bodies within reach. "He's going into the crowd," Dessa said. 4, "Not a crowd. His own pressure still costs him visibility and mobility. He accepts both because they buy him people nearby." A defender at the entrance called. "Outer wall is failing." "How much?" Corin asked. Enough to put them beside the doorway." "Can you hold inside?" "Yes." "Then hold inside." "Dessa?" 3, "I can hold one side or stop that guard from closing. Not both." "Take the guard. That gives them wall space. Then we pay wall space." "And if the wall folds?" 3, "Fall to the entrance. Do not chase outward." "Why 3, I'll fall to the entrance." Dessa moved independently again, keeping the separated guard from regaining Sarn, while the outer defenders fell back another few steps. The guard tried to force his way through the pressure. Corin met the consequence rather than the man. 4, he shifted defenders to deny the easy return and kept Sarn moving with only 2 close. "The 3rd can't get back to him," Dessa said. Corin saw the gap hold. No replacement. 3, there isn't tone. The 3rd guard remained active in the wider fight, blocked from Sarn by the same human congestion he had been trying to cross. 2 guards stayed immediately with the commander. 01. The congestion kept the gap from closing. It also cost them the rear pressure again. The remaining operator called. Corin heard strain in the voice. "How bad?" 3. I can hold one direction. That's all you have to hold. And the other? Corin looked toward Dessa. She was already occupied keeping Sarn's displaced guard from closing. 4. There was no spare person to move. Let it stay uncovered unless it becomes immediate, Corin said. That's a risk. Yes. The operator answered. I'll hold what I can. 4. Sarn used the same compression to advance. With only 2 guards close, he moved deeper into the broader militia pressure, where independent movement became harder, but armed proximity was everywhere. 5. The signal house doorway was now only a short push away. Interior still friendly, a defender called. Keep it that way. We're losing outside control. We knew that price. Dessa returned to Corin's side for one breath. He's down to the 2 with him, and our rear is still Sonman. Don't list it. I'm telling you what's uncovered. Corin looked across the tightening fight. She was right. The reduction around Sarn had worked. The cost had landed somewhere else, exactly where future movement would need flexibility. 4. Can you open him again? Corin asked. Not with what we have left. Then don't. He's still moving. I see him. Toward the entrance. Yes. 3. The remaining rear operator called another warning from behind them. Rear moving again. 3. Can you stop it? I can slow it. Then slow it. Don't leave your line. 3. I could use another body. You don't have one. Then I slow it alone. Corin turned his head, then back towards Sarn. Their warning came again, and no second operator moved to answer it. Messer. Dessa was already occupied on Sarn's side. The doorway defenders could not leave. Sarn pressed toward the entrance with 2 guards while the uncovered rear corner stayed uncovered. The remaining rear security operator called the warning. Before Corin saw the movement, rear pressure. 1 crossing toward the court wall. Corin turned far enough to catch the shape moving through the broken edge of Barrick's court. Ahead of him, Sarn was already inside the outer signal house approach with 2 guards, close, and the militia pressing the entrance from both sides. Can you hold it? Corin asked. I can slow it. Then slow it. I need another set of eyes. There was no one to give him. Dessa was watching Sarn's side of the fight. 4 defenders at the doorway were occupied keeping the interior friendly. The mobility operator was inside with the injured man from their air pair. Corin could leave the rear gap open, or he could absorb it himself while still holding the target problem. He chose both. Dessa, keep Sarn from closing on the entrance. You're taking rear? For 1 pass. 3. That's 2 jobs. 3. 1 pass. Corin. Do yours. She did. Corin shifted towards the court wall while keeping Sarn in the edge of his vision. The decision felt efficient. If he handled the rearm movement himself, no one had to leave the doorway, and Dessa could stay on the commander. The rear operator called. He's coming through. I see him. Corin met the pressure before it reached the defender line. The militia fighter changed direction instead of continuing straight, forcing Corin closer to the wall. At the same moment, voices rose from the signal house approach. 2 guards still close, Dessa called. Keep them there. I need you forward. Not yet. The rear fighter pressed again. Corin stopped him from crossing behind the defenders. But the exchange took another step, then another. His distance from Sarn widened at exactly the wrong time. Dessa shouted, gap opening. 4. Corin looked. For the first time since the apron had collapsed, Sarn had drifted half a body length away from one of his 2 guards. The second guard was pinned by pressure near the entrance. The space was brief, ugly, and usable. Hold it, Corin said. I can't hold both sides. I'm moving. He left the rear operator with the pressure and drove back toward the opening. 4. The militia fighter behind him did not disappear because Corin had changed priorities. The rear operator caught the first part of the return pressure, but could not contain all of it alone. 5. Rear coming with you, the operator called. Corin heard him too late. A body struck him from the side as he entered the close space near Sarn's second guard. 4. The impact folded his arm against his ribs and drove him off balance on the hard concrete. He kept his feet, but his hand stopped answering cleanly. Corin, I'm up. Your arm? 3. Still mine. Can you control him? Corin reached for the guard's movement and felt his grip fail halfway through the effort. Pain tightened through his side when he turned. 4. He could still act, but the consistency was gone. The guard recovered the space. Sarn stepped back into the protection of both men. The clean opening disappeared. Windows gone, Dessa said. I see it. The rear operator called. I'm still holding, but I can't cover another cross. Corin backed toward the defender line, rather than pretend the lost control had not happened. 4. Stay rear, he said. That leaves no spare. There isn't one. Dessa came close enough to speak without raising her voice. You tried to cover the missing man yourself. 3. I tried to close it faster, and lost the gap. 3. Yes, she did not soften it. At the doorway, a defender shouted, pressure building again. Corin tested his right hand once. The fingers closed, then loosened before he wanted them to. Turning his torso pulled hard under the ribs. He stopped testing and looked at the problem instead. Sarn still had 2 guards. 4. Signal house was still friendly inside. The approach was almost gone. Next separation can't be mine, Corin said. Dessa glanced at his arm, then at Sarn. I can take the short move. 3. How short? Straight in and out. I can't cut hard sideways. Corin looked at her. My knee, she said. Lateral push is down. Forward is better. How long has it mattered? 3. Enough to tell you now. No chase. No chase. No extended cross? Corin nodded. Then you don't chase and you don't extend. What do I own? Own a short separation. You create it. I keep them from joining back up. With that arm? With what still works. That isn't an answer. It's the boundary. 3. Dessa studied him for a second, then nodded. Short move only. Your move. And if Sarn keeps pushing, he will. Then we do it at the threshold. 3. A defender at the entrance called. They're stacking pressure on the outside wall. Can you keep the doorway? Corin asked. If nobody pulls me off it. Nobody will, Dessa said, then stop trying to be the missing rear man. Corin looked at her. I mean it, she said. Rear stays rear. Door stays door. I take the target side move. 4. You take only what your knee lets you take. That's what I just told you. Then we agree. For once, the defender called again. They're moving. Hold inside, Corin said. Do not follow them onto the apron. Understood. Corin looked toward Signal House. The militia was already compressing the approach again. Sarn remained leaned close to the outer line with 2 guards, so the rear operator was alone. Corin's grip had become unreliable, and his ribs punished every hard turn. At the threshold, the 2 guards had already closed back around Sarn. The cleaner gap Corin had lost was gone. His forearm would not hold a clean grip, and turning hard still caught under the ribs. 4. Dessa shifted her weight once, testing only the short forward step they had agreed on. Corin left that movement to her. The next militia push arrived before anyone had room to reset. Signal House filled Corin's view now. Outer wall, threshold, defender held interior. Sarn was almost at the entrance with 2 guards close. 4. The remaining rear security operator was still alone behind them, and every other friendly body had a job already. Entry pressure, a defender called Interior. Corin asked. 4. Interior's holding. Keep the doorway friendly. Dessa stood in Corin's left, weight set carefully, short movemently. I remember. You keep them from closing back. That's mine. No taking it over. Corin looked at her. You said it was my move. It is. Then let me own it. He nodded once. 4. The pressure struck the threshold. A militia fighter reached the doorway and was forced back, but two more immediately filled the space. The defenders held inside without pushing outward. 4. Sarn used that compression to move closer with both guards. He's at the threshold line, Dessa said. Not inside. Not yet. Corin closed his hand once. 4. The grip weakened almost immediately, and the turn toward Sarn pulled hard under his ribs. Rear? He called. One line only, the operator answered. Stay there. 3. Staying. Dessa watched the two guards, then the narrow space beside the doorway. I have the short move. Take it when it's yours. Not when it's yours? 3. I don't have yours. That was enough. The first guard moved half a step forward with the assault pressure. The second stayed close to Sarn. Dessa did not chase the first man. 4. She moved only across the short piece of ground she had claimed, forcing him to continue away, 3. From Sarn or abandon the forward pressure he was supporting. He continued. Sarn's protection opened. 4. Now, Dessa said. Corin moved into Theraturn path, not toward Sarn. The displaced guard tried to close back. Corin met the reunion instead of the separation itself. 4. His weakened grip made the contact uncertain, so he used position in the defender line, aim ma, 8B to keep the man from getting through. 1. Hold him out, Dessa called. That's what I'm doing, Mott. He's coming around. He's trying. The guard changed direction. Corin turned with him, and felt his ribs lock hard enough to shorten his breath. 4. His hand slipped when he tried to control the movement directly. 4. He gave ground rather than lose the boundary. 4.
Corin? Still here. Donat, cross after him. I won't.
Dessa stayed where her knee allowed her to stay, and did not follow the guard across the apron. She stopped where she had promised, leaving Corin to preserve the gap. The guard made another attempt to return. A defender shouted, Doorway! What? Corin could not turn both directions quickly enough. Dessa, entrance status. 2. Trying through. Interior line holding. Then stay on your boundary. E. I. M. E. Defender, keep them outside. E. We're trying. Don't chase, hold the threshold. The entry fight had reached the doorway itself. Sarn had not been captured. 4. The fight for the building was already underway around him. When the displaced guard tried again, Corin held the return path long enough for the doorway crutch to carry the man farther from Sarn. 5. Guard stays out, Corin said. Dessa looked past him. Then Sarn has one. Corin checked. One active close guard remained immediately beside Sarn. The other was still fighting, still dangerous, but no longer close enough to protect him. No replacement, Dessa said. There can't be. Don't make that sound comforting. It isn't. 3. He was reachable now, only at contact range. Their 80 defender inside shouted, They're trying the entrance again. Hold! We need another body. There isn't one. 3. The remaining rear security operator called from behind them. Rear pressure moving. Can you keep it off us? Long enough. That's enough. Dessa said, We are fully committed. Corin looked at the doorway. No standoff position remained. Corin had no spare operator. His grip would not last. 3. And Dessa could not turn the next exchange into a chase. On guard, Dessa said. 1. 3. Sarn at the threshold. Yes. 3. Interior still friendly. For the moment. And entry pressure is already active. Corin watched a defender force, another militia fighter, back from the doorway, while Sarn stayed just outside it. That's the fight. 3 Dessa looked at him. And the capture? Same place. The defender at the doorway called, "They're leaning harder on the right side." "How many through?" Corin asked. 4. Inside. Then the line is still good. Barely. Barely counts. Des said, "My separated guard is trying to use the doorway pressure to come back." 4. Can you keep your position? Yes. Then. No. Can you move farther? He may get around me. That becomes my problem. With your arm? 3. With the space I still have. The rear operator cut in, movement behind you. Hold your one line, Corin said. I am. No cross support, wasn't offering. 3. Good. Dessa glanced at Corin. Everybody has one job now. That's all we can afford. Doorway stillers, Corin asked. Interiors holding, the defender said. 4. Barely. 3. Then hold exactly where you are. Holding. The final guard tightened beside Sarn, as pressure gathered again at the entrance. Corin stayed between the displaced guard and Sarn. His bad hand could not sustain control, so he kept the doorway traffic between them and refused to chase. Dessa stopped exactly where her knee allowed and held the short piece of ground she had taken. 4. The rear operator held alone. The defenders held the interior. Sarn remained alive at the threshold with one close guard. Behind Corin, the single rear operator was still calling movement. Inside, defenders were already taking the next impact at the door. 5. A defender hit shoulder first, against the inner jamb as another attacker crowded the threshold. Corin had no distance left to recover. The next opening came with the doorway already under pressure. A militia fighter drove into the threshold and was forced back by the defenders inside. Another crowded behind him. 4. Sarn stood just outside at the entrance with his last close guard tight beside him. Close enough that distance no longer separated target from protection. Interior? Corin asked. 4. Interiors holding.
Rear?
One line held.
Dessa?
Here. She planted in a narrow stance and avoided the lateral cut her knee no longer gave her. The final guard stayed tight to Sarn. He's going with him, Dessa said. He's moving.
Your arm? Good enough for one job. Which one?
Keep the guard off him. That leaves Sarn. With you and the doorway. Dessa nodded. Short move only. Exactly. And you don't take it back. I won't. 3. 2 at the entrance, a defender shouted. Hold inside, Corin said. We need space. You don't have space. Hold the line. Right side is giving, then bend. Don't break the doorway. The last guard tried to move Sarn through the threshold under that pressure. Corin stepped into the return path. His forearm failed to close hard enough when contact came, forcing him to give half a step. The guard drove Corin back against the damaged edge of the entrance, close enough that Corin felt the impact through his ribs before his hand slipped. 5. Like Corin let the failed grip go and stayed between the guard and the opening back to Sarn. Dessa. Now. She moved in a short line, exactly as promised. No lateral chase. 4. Her action cut Sarn away from the guard's immediate protection, while the defenders inside were still fighting to keep the entrance closed. 5. The guard turned towards Sarn. Corin blocked the reunion. His ribs tightened. His grip slipped once recovered, then weakened again. Guard coming around, Dessa said. I have the route. You don't have the man. 3. I don't need the man. Matters, then keep the route. That's the job. The guard tried another angle. Corin gave ground toward the damaged doorway. using the pressure already there to keep him from getting back beside Sarn.
Door!
A defender shouted. A militia fighter crossed partway into the threshold before being driven back. 4. Another filled his place. Keep them outside, Corin said. We're holding. Barely still counts. Sarn is still free. Dessa said. Then close him. 3. You still have the guard? I have his way back. That's enough. Dessa moved only far enough to deny Sarn the short step back toward his guard. 4. He turned into her space and kept driving for the entrance, forcing her to hold the narrow forward stance her knee could tolerate. Corin could not take over without abandoning the guard. Dessa. I have the boundary. Don't chase him. I'm not. Keep him short. That's what I'm doing. The guard made one more attempt to break through Corin. Corin's arm weakened again. He could not sustain control, so he kept his body in the return path. 3. Until a defender falling back from the doorway collided with the guard's advance and carried him farther from Sarn. Guard clear of Sarn, the defender called. Stay on the entrance. I'm back. Do not follow him out. A holding. Sarn had reached the threshold edge but not the interior. Dessa had kept him there within the movement her knee allowed. 4. He's yours for on a second, she said. His injured arm could not give him fine control. Dessa had taken away the retreat toward the guard. The doorway denied the other direction. 4. Sarn fought the restraint, twisting toward the entrance and trying to regain movement.
For Corin,
Dessa said.
I have him. Do you?
His grip faltered.
No.
3. Then don't pretend. I'm not. Dessa adjusted without chasing, closing the short space from the other side. Now. Corin reset within what his arm could sustain. Now. 3. Together they kept Sarn off the doorway and out of the assault flow. Secure, Dessa said. Alive. Alive. Keep him there. I'm staying. 3. The capture changed nothing for the men already driving at the doorway. A militia fighter struck the threshold again. Another pushed behind him. 4. The pressure kept coming because it was already committed. 1. Doorway! The defender shouted. Corin kept Sarn controlled, while Dessa shifted toward the entrance without running. 4. Right side coming, she called. Interior line? Corin asked. Interior held. Then, hold it. We need help. You have what's here. That isn't much. It has to be enough. The defenders met the push. The last guard tried to re-enter the space around Sarn. Guard left. Someone called. 4. The remaining rear security operator answered. I can cut him off from one side. One side is enough, Corin said. I can't leave rear. Don't hold your side only. Copy. 3. A defender from the doorway forced the guard away again. Efi. No one surrendered. The fighters already committed to the entrance kept coming. 4. The defenders drove the committed attackers back from the threshold until the last immediate push broke away. Doorway clear enough. A defender said. Interior. Searier. Rear. 3. Still held. Sarn? Dessa looked down at him. Alive. Secured. Last guard? Out of immediate protection. 3. Already done. 3. Right side clear? Corin asked. For the moment. Court side? Backing off. Do not follow. We're staying inside. Rear line. 3. Still one man. Leave it covered. Dessa said. Sarn isn't moving. He's breathing. He's secured. Good, stay with him until the doorway settles. I can do that. Only after the last push broke away did the doorway noise fall. Corin's hand still weakened under sustained grip. Dessa kept her turns narrow. One rear security operator remained unavailable, and the bent entrance still needed work. Later, when immediate work had replaced fighting, Corin stood at the damaged doorway, 3, with a work light in his good hand. The beam followed the bent frame, while 2 defenders worked a temporary patch into place. "Higher," one said. Corin raised the light. "Hold there." 3. He held it, across the interior, Dessa with the injured partner personnel. She kept weight off the bad knee, while passing what they needed from where she could reach it. "Light steady," the defender said. Corin kept it steady while they patched the damaged